This video covers the tasks which can be carried out in the household management function. This function is used for adding, changing or removing data associated with households after authorization. It's also used for changing decisions relating to the household after authorization. First of all, you need to access a household, and there are 4 ways to do this. If the household is still at the application stage, you can type in the application number. After authorization, you can use the authorization number. You can search by individual and then drill into the household, or you can search by the address. So let's start by searching by the individual. Click on the name, and then from the summary page, you can click on the household. You'll find a list of tasks in the actions icon here. So the first one is add or edit an applicant or authorized carer. So let's just click on that. Now we've already covered the 2 tasks you can do from this point. One is editing the carer information, which you can do by clicking on edit, or you can add another applicant by clicking on this button here. And we covered this in the video about entering an application. So let's return to the household details here, and we'll look at the second task, which is to add or edit a household member. Once again, we've already covered adding a household member in an earlier video, and we've also covered editing a member's details. One thing we didn't cover was finalizing a member, so let's quickly look at that. First, click on edit, and then if we scroll down, we find that the individual checks are all satisfactory, so we can proceed with finalization. The process is similar to that of a carer applicant. First, you need to answer yes to each of these questions. Have you checked their carer's register history? Do they have a satisfactory identification check, police check and community services check? And do they have a working with children clearance or an application in progress? If so, you can go ahead and click on finalize household member. Back to the household details, and let's look at the third task, which is cancel a household. This would be used if the household is no longer attached to a carer or an applicant. So for example, they've moved house. This task will cancel the household but will not make any changes to an individual's application or authorization status. To cancel a household, simply add a cancellation date and click on submit. The next task on the actions list is suspend a household. Now you use this option when an action by a member of the household or carer has caused concern, or there's an investigation in progress and the outcome is pending, for example when an authorized carer or household member has been issued with an interim bar. Now in this scenario you should use the suspend carer authorization function covered in the previous video. If the carer authorization is suspended and they're the only carer in the household is automatically suspended as well. To suspend a household, click on the suspension date and click on submit. The next task is change decision correction. This is used when a household has been cancelled or suspended, but the status of the household needs to be changed again, or it needs to be restored to its former status. So for example, a household which was cancelled without concerns could now be changed to cancelled with concerns or restore to current. These options would be available from the change decision drop-down, but as you can see that only the applicable options will be visible from the drop-down. So in this case, because there's been no cancellation or suspension, then there's no decision to change, so there's no options actually available. Next we have change responsible location. This is only relevant to the authorizing agency. It's used if the location responsible for managing the household has changed. So select the new location from the drop-down list and then click on submit. The final task on this list is change agency reference. So this is used if you want to update the record with a certs reference number, which will give you a link between the 2 systems. Now you can, if you need to, change the address, which you may want to do if there was some mistake when the address was entered. Now one other task that you might want to do is to remove an individual's association with a household. So typically this would be if they'd moved out of the house, so their authorization status remains unchanged. If a change of status needs to be recorded against a carer or applicant, this should be done via the individual management function covered in the previous video. To change the individual's association with the household, click on End Date, then enter the end date when they're no longer associated with the household and click on Submit. So this brings us to the end of the video on household management.